and then admit. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to What is My Bottom Line Telling Me? It's a Queensland, can't speak today, Queensland Small Business Month Financial Literacy Workshop. This is the second of our online workshops, so we thank you for taking the time to join us on a sunny Brisbane Thursday afternoon. I'm just going to give another couple of seconds for people to jump on, and then I'll hand over to our speaker today. So just a second while we see everyone joining us. I hope you are all well and safe and enjoying this beautiful autumn weather. All right, I think it's slowed down a little bit. Okay, again, thank you, everybody. I'd like to hand over to our presenter today, Lisa Watergo from Miss Garriott Media. She'll be sharing with you the main presentation, and we'll follow that with a few of our business experts who'll share how you can connect with them after the session. Over to you, Lisa.
Thanks so much, Katie. I've got control of the slide deck. Before I start, I want to acknowledge that we are on Aboriginal land and acknowledge the unceded sovereignty of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across the country. I'm coming to you from the lands that we now know of as Brisbane or Meanjin, Maganjin, and I'm really happy to be here. It's not too cold today, which is always really good because, you know, Queensland just once it gets below 25, it's like, oh, it's starting to get beanie weather. So in today's session, I'm going to be talking a little bit about, well, kind of deep diving into our bottom line, which is about, for us as business owners, it's generally about our profit and loss statement. So what I'm going to do a little bit is kind of go over some information that you probably already know, some really simple definitions. I'm going to do that in the first bit. And then in the second part, we'll actually start to look a little bit at some numbers. So some of you will already know this information. You'll be like, oh, I can't believe she's talking about, you know, revenue less expenses equals profit and loss. But I just wanted to make, I've put this in here at the start of the presentation just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Okay, so in today's session, what we want to talk a little bit about is what your numbers say about your business, what's going on in your business. Feel free to use the chat. I do have the chat window open. I'm just going to put a chat in here. I'm going to send a little test chat so that folks can see it if you've not used Teams before. And hopefully you might have got a ping then that says, yes, this is where the chat function is. I'm going to throw some things in the chat as well. So I have a few notes that I want to add in. We've done this presentation in lots of different regions across Queensland, and we do have a booklet and we have some spreadsheets, but we're not doing those in this online version. So I'm going to put some information in the chat just to kind of supplement that. So we're going to talk about what your numbers say about your business, creating an effective bottom line workflow and really thinking about your bottom line, and also knowing when your numbers are working for you. I wouldn't mind. So for this first just 2 minutes, why are you here? What do you need, and what are your biggest concerns? So if you can use the chat, we'd love to hear from what are some of the things that you're looking for. What are some of your concerns about your business? Is there anything that you would like to share? I'm going to open this for 2 minutes. I'm looking at my watch. I'm going to look at my watch now. So just jump in there and give us some ideas about some of the things that you'd like to get out of today, or some of the things that you're worried about in your business. I'm going to add something in there. Mine is about cash flow over the Christmas period. That's something that I worry about. Oh, here we go. So Katrina, I'm looking to an understanding about more about not just my bottom line, but my inventory and cash flow. Yes, 100%. New to business, I'm sure about BAS and reporting requirements. Great. Guess who's in the room? Di, we have the ATO in the room, and they have some amazing resources that I saw last week. Matt is your person that you want to talk to. I mean, talk to me as well, but Matt is great. Awesome. So my thing is my biggest concern is cash flow, like you, Katrina. So I should say at the if you want to keep throwing stuff in the chat there, go for it. But while we're doing that, I wanted to also say I'm not an accountant, so I am 100% not an accountant. I'm sure my accountant's probably going, why is she doing this workshop? Why is she doing this workshop? She's not an accountant. She doesn't. I'm a small business owner just like you. And one of the things that I think is really important is that we as business owners, the ones who are making the decisions, the ones whose livelihoods are literally on the line, that we understand these tools. And so this presentation really comes from the perspective of the business owner. It's written by business owners, this part written by real world business owners. Kerry Richards, who wrote this, wrote the presentation with me, runs Merino Country. So she's delivering some of the workshops around Queensland, which is an amazing manufacturing firm here in Queensland at Logan. And she manufactures merino clothing. My business is a service-based business. So we deliver we're a creative agency, so we're all about service-based businesses. And so for me, which is cash flow, over the Christmas period, we have no work between December and January. We may have some leftover things that we're doing, but we are bringing in no income during that period. And right now, I just left a meeting with our creative director who's dying because now it's the end of financial year and everybody wants their design work done before the end of the financial year. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to cope. So it's either feast or famine, which is probably like a lot of businesses. And Tyler said, understanding and breaking down revenue into smaller parts to more effectively plan marketing, wages, outgoings, etc. That's a fantastic point, Tyler. One of the things that I think was the turning point in my understanding around profit and loss was doing a program that was actually sponsored by, formerly called Desbit. I'm not sure which section within Desbit it was. I think it was Desbit. And I did a program with BDO, who are one of the tier 1 accounting firms that have an amazing financial education program. And Tyler, that is when I began to understand that not all P&Ls are the same. Not all profit and loss statements are exactly the same. They are differentiated. You can do the kind of profit and loss statement I used to do was, here's my receipts, and then my accountant would give me what was happening at the end of the year or at every quarter. And then I was really frustrated because I was like, I can't make like, what does all of this mean? And then when I did the BDO program, I was like, there are different sections within your profit. You can create different versions of the profit and loss. The numbers are the same, but there's the version that you do for the tax office. That's literally what it is. And then there's a version for management where you're actually creating a version that helps you to make those decisions. We're not going to deep dive, unfortunately, Tyler, we're not going to go into that, but I am going to encourage you absolutely, particularly in that overhead section, we're going to talk more about it, but really think about how you can structure and format that. And you can do that in, if you're using accounting software like Xero, you can actually create different versions of your P&L so that you can customize it so that you can create them for yourself so you can actually make better decisions. But that's fantastic feedback. So thanks everybody for jumping in there. And if you have any other questions, if we can't answer those questions right now, the team from the department can collate those, and we can have a look and see if we can find responses or if there's anybody that can help you. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is talk about what is a bottom line. So it refers to the net profit, just basically. It refers to the net profit or loss on your P&L. In small business financial management, you guys can read this. The bottom line refers to a company's net profit or net income, which is the final figure on an income statement or profit loss after all revenues and expenses have been accounted for. It shows what remains after subtracting operating expenses, taxes, interest, and other costs from total revenue. We're going to deep dive into that, but that's basically is how much have I made. And I guess this next slide is for me as the business owner, and Carrie and I spent a lot of time talking about this when we were developing this. And I guess it also is also a little bit about where we are at as a stage of business that we're at. We're both in our mid-50s and we're like, oh my God, are we making enough profit for all of the effort that we're putting in? And as small business owners, you will know that you work overtime constantly and you have all of this responsibility. Is it worth it? So a non-technical it's not even a definition, a non-technical kind of question or reflection is this whole thing worth it? What is my bottom line? It might be X, but is it worth it? Is this what I actually want to do? And only you can answer that question. Is this bottom line good? Well, that depends. It is what it is. It might be good enough to sustain the business, but is it good enough for you in the work that you're putting in? It doesn't mean that you are, doesn't necessarily mean, and your answer will be different from somebody else's answer. So I'm just checking out the questions here. Is there a free bookkeeping program you would recommend? So we use Xero. We've used MyOb in the past. We use Xero. Oh, I think someone's got their mute. We might just mute you, Dawn. Hold on a second. I'm just going to mute you. I don't know that there are any free programs apart from something like building your own Excel spreadsheet. If you don't have Microsoft Excel, you can certainly use the free version of Google Sheets, which is similar to what we know of as Excel. You can use Google Sheets using a free Google account, but it's not going to do things automatically. You actually have to set that up. But we can have a look around for that for you and maybe have a chat with the concierge team. Will we have access to these notes after the workshop, or should I download it? I'm not sure if you can. You download it? I don't even know if that's a question. And Tyler, the slides aren't showing from your end. Tyler, that happened to us at the last workshop. There was someone who needed to press some buttons from their end, and they eventually were able to get access to the slides. These are questions I'm asking you now, especially paying what seems to be never-ending bills to the ATO. I know, Carla, it feels like that, doesn't it? It definitely feels like that. So I'm just checking. I think someone may not have their themselves on mute. We're just keeping everybody on mute just for the time being. All right. So obviously, as I said, is it worth it? This is the question only you can ask yourself and answer yourself. What is the bottom line? So again, as I said, refers to net profit or loss on your profit and loss statement. So we have revenue, total income from goods, and this is the stuff that you bring into your business. That word. So there's lots of definitions in accounting that are used interchangeably. So some people might just call it sales, call it revenue. That kind of income might be referred to as income. Then we have our expenses, which is all of our costs, things that are going out. And then what's left over after expenses, hopefully, is a net profit. May not necessarily be. Well, we hope it's a net profit. We hope it's a net profit. And so the next thing that I just wanted to talk about is your P&L. So I just call it P&L, but it is your profit and loss statement. So your P&L is kind of like, I think of your P&L as like a skeleton of your business. It kind of holds up. It's like it's the thing that is the most important thing. It's the most important tool, I think, that you need to always be monitoring. And as Tyler was saying, you're really shaping it so that you can actually make decisions. It's a picture of the overall picture of your business's performance, assuming, of course, that everything is up to date. And a good example of that, and this is where many of us, not going to lie, not going to pretend, many of us get into trouble where our P&L says, oh, we've made this healthy profit. And then I look at my bank and I'm like, but where's all the money? Where's all the money? Because it says I've made a profit, but I've got no money in my bank. Well, what's the discrepancy there? So understanding how sometimes you don't have the money in the bank, but your profit loss statement is saying you've actually made a profit. So you have to, yes, your P&L is the thing that's going to give you the picture of your business, assuming that everything in your P&L is actually up to date, which is about constantly making sure that, if you've spent some money on something from your business card, you've gone and bought something like, say, you bought something from the post office because you need to send a parcel. So I went to the post office. I spent $20 on a parcel, and then I've got the receipt. The $20 receipt, but I need to actually put that into my accounting software so that expense is actually recorded. Because if you go and spend the $20 and the cash leaves your bank account, but you don't actually record it in the profit and loss statement, it says you've got that $20 still there, but it's like you don't, because you actually just went and spent it. And so Di can't see the slides now. I'm going to let Katie have a play around with any settings potentially, because I hope that you can see the slides. But all that's on the slide, for those who can't see it, is a small definition. A P&L is a financial report that shows how much money your business has earned, income, and spent, expenses, over a set period. It tells you whether your business is making a profit, more money in than out, or a loss, which is more money going out than coming in. And then it's got a small graph of on the right-hand side, it's got a small graph, which is basically just a screenshot image of the relationship between revenue and COGS. I'm going to talk about what COGS are, and then it's got a line graph there in blue and white, and blue and red. So it's just an illustration. So that's what's on the slide, and I'm hoping you'll be able to get. I hope you'll be able to see the slide soon. So your profit and loss, and this is the part that really changed my life in terms of understanding. And those of you who are probably bookkeepers and maybe you're doing it for longer than me, or are accountants, you're going, yeah. And like, I knew it, but I didn't know it. I knew it, but I didn't know it. Your P&L is divided into different sections, and you need to know what those sections are. So that's what that slide says. The next slide says at the top of the P&L, we have our revenue, or our income, or our sales, same words, but for the same thing, minus cost of goods sold equals gross profit. So that's what the slide says. So I want to talk a little bit about cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold are those items, those things that you spend money on, that you buy in order to get the product ready for sale. So I don't know why, but I always use muffins as an example. So I sell muffins. I sell $200 worth of muffins today, but it costs me, let's say, I don't know, $35.67 to buy the flour, the eggs, the sugar, the blueberries. What else goes in muffins? Some vanilla essence. I'm not a cook at all, so I don't really know, but I think that's what goes in muffins. And the sultanas and the chopped chips, whatever it is. Those are the cost of goods sold. So at the top of your profit and loss, you've simply got, I sold $200 worth of muffins, but the cost of selling that, the cost of making that revenue, the cost of bringing in that $200 directly. So some of you will have heard the term direct and indirect costs. So cost of goods sold or direct costs, there's different terms that mean the same thing. So your direct costs are exactly what it is that you spent on creating those muffins, and that will give you your gross profit. So you can make a gross profit, doesn't mean you're going to make a net profit. We're going to talk about that next. So you can so this is at the top of the profit and loss, and by understanding what is going on at the top and at the bottom means that you can go, okay, where are the issues in my business? Where can I make savings, and where do I need to change? Or maybe everything's fine. So revenue minus your cost of goods sold equals your gross profit or loss. Now, hopefully you are making a gross profit. Hopefully, because that's kind of going to tell you that my business is going to work. If you're not making a gross profit, you've probably got an issue. If you're not making a profit at the top, you may have an issue. At the bottom of the P&L, so all of the text on the screen is just saying at the bottom of the profit and loss, you've got gross profit or loss minus overheads. So we've made a gross profit. We sold $200 worth of muffins. It cost us $30 to make those muffins. We've got a gross profit of $170, and then we start taking off our overheads, or you might refer to them as indirect costs. So we've got direct costs, indirect costs, cost of goods sold, overheads. This is going to get, or operating expenses. Operating expenses is another word. So operating expenses include things like rent, admin, wages, software, subscriptions, the website. If you took out some ads on social media, so you paid Facebook some money so people could see your muffin shop, that kind of thing. All of those things come under what's called overheads. And that at the end, and then of course you've got the other things like tax and depreciation and those sorts of things, that will give you your net profit or your loss. So at the bottom of the P&L, so it's very possible to make a gross profit and then not make and then still make a loss. I'll actually share. So we've been making a loss for the last couple of months simply because we're catching up from our period over December and January, which is actually really normal for us. Like we actually make a loss in a couple of months, in a couple of periods, but we're constantly monitoring it. It's okay so long as you've got your cash in the bank so that you can still cover things like wages during those periods when you're actually low, and it will go back up and it will start to even itself out. And so we can make a profit in some months, but then make a loss in other months. But hopefully over the course of the period, over the course of the 12 months, you're actually going to make at least some profit. But then, of course, that will depend on what your goals are for your business. So really, so I just wanted to go through that. Some of you will already know those things. Will already have that information under control, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody does. That's why we're going to that's why we've gone through it a little bit. So what is your profit and loss telling you? So one of the things, so this, I think I've got, how many points have I got here? I've got 6 or 7 points. I've got 7 points that I want to make. So this is where we're starting to talk about, well, what is your profit P&L actually telling you? So the first thing is you want to start looking for patterns. So what do the patterns tell you? So for our business, as a service-based business that does the majority of its work with the public sector, so governments and corporations, we have no work in December and January. Now, if we didn't know that, we would probably have a problem. We'd be like, oh my God, what's going on? Where are all our customers? What's happening? How am I going to pay the bills this month? If we didn't know that, we wouldn't have saved up money to get through that period. So are your sales going up and down over time? What is happening in the world during that period? You may have a massive boost at Christmas time because you're selling products that are related to Christmas. You want to do that. Oh, I was joking the other day. I think that, when was it? It was March? All of the businesses that sell batteries had a massive spike. What's happening? I'm actually going to talk about that in a couple of slides, actually. So there's the regular seasonal things. In the example that we'll use a little bit later, Connie's Cafe is a regional-based business. So at the moment, anybody in the regions is probably ramping up if you're in that sector for the tourism industry. So the tourism industry for folks on the other side of the Great Dividing Range is, sort of April, May to September, October. Lots of sales during that period, very little outside of that because it's just too hot and not that many tourists. So are there seasons of regular increases or decreases in sales? Are expenses growing faster than income? So one of the things that you want to be checking out and having a look at is to make sure that your expenses are not exceeding your income, and it may actually just kind of go up a little bit over time. And then you need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on those things and tracking it. So that's the other part about your effective bottom line workflow, is making sure you're reconciling regularly. So taking that receipt from that thing that you just spent, making sure you're recording it in your books. And the second thing is, what was I going to say? Monitoring it and just double checking and making sure that that things are actually stable and not going out of whack in a way that they should be. Is your profit margin staying consistent? So you're starting to have a look at, if you're monitoring your profit and loss over time, and 1 month or 2 months, that's okay, but it's when suddenly you're starting to see patterns that are 6 months and then begin to looking yearly, that's when you're starting to go, okay, I think I need to do something serious. The second point that I want to talk about is actually comparing your income to direct costs. So is your gross profit margin holding steady? So your gross profit margin is your is the relationship in the distance. I'll just go back a couple of slides. For those who can't see it, I apologize, but I'll just go back. This diagram here, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. So in this diagram here, it's basically a line graph that maps the revenue, or it's not a map, it's just illustrating the relationship between total trading income, which is in blue, so it's a line graph. And in this diagram, you can see that in July, so this is for Connie's, Connie's business, Connie's Cafe. So in July, really high, so height of the tourism season, lots of sales. Trading income is really high. And then you can see that it's going down over the course of the period. In December and January, it's nothing really. And then it goes back up again, starting to move up again, February, March, April. So the distance between trading income And on the bottom is operating cost of goods sold, so direct costs. Direct costs are kind of you can see that there's an up and then it goes down. The distance between trading income and cost of goods sold, direct revenue, and that is your gross profit margin. So you just want to be keeping an eye on that. I'm just going to go backwards and forwards. So if your cost of goods sold is rising faster than sales, something might be off with your pricing, supplier costs, or production efficiency. So if I'm making a coffee and suddenly the cost of milk is going up, and it's going up a lot, and I'm not putting my prices up, and I'm not increasing sales, something is going to go wrong. But you can wear that for a little while, but you can't wear that forever. So Katrina's got a question. My closing stock, it doesn't actually come up on your profit and loss until the end of financial year, meaning the gross profit is incorrect until then. Oh, that's an interesting question. Katrina, that's probably related to one of the problems that we have in our business. So we're a service-based business, and so we may get a contract, say for example, so we're getting a contract today. We actually we're signing a contract today. We get the job today, and we invoice in milestones, but we actually don't get paid the guts of the contract until the end of the contract. But we've got lots of expenses going out, and that our accountant is constantly going, kind of, girls, you need to sort this out. Where we have lots of expenses, so we're paying wages going out because we're doing the work, but we actually don't get the income until the end. So we end up making a profit, but the profit isn't kind of demonstrated obvious until the end of the project. And we have projects that last, so we have one sale that may actually be a 4-month sale, so it takes us 4 months to actually deliver on that. 4 or 5 months. Actually, we just did a project that was 6 months long, and it blew out, the timeframes blew out. So it might take 6 or 7 months, 4 months, but we've got this kind of discrepancy. So, but it looks like we're making a loss and we're in danger, but we actually turn out okay. I would be having a chat with my accountant, with your accountant, Katrina, and asking them how you can record it so that you can actually see where you're actually making a profit. Our accountant says we should be recording wage expenses in that period, with work in progress payments and things like that. So definitely have a chat with your Katrina, and with your accountant, and see if you can have a look and make sure that you can identify where your P&L is at, basically. The third thing is, third suggestion is around check your operating expenses. Are there any costs blowing out? So Kerry was using an example in her business where she's got some new staff. So she makes clothing, so underwear, bras. She has tops, bottoms, men and women's clothes, thermal underwear, so all merino stuff. And she knows exactly how long it takes to make a pair of undies, for instance. I don't know, I can't remember. She did tell me what it is. It's like 3 minutes and 47 seconds to make a pair of undies. So that's going in her figures. So that's, if it takes me 3 minutes and 45 seconds to make this pair of undies, then I need to charge it at X amount. Now, when you get a new staff member on, of course, it takes them a long time. It may take them a few months to a year if they're new, because these are really experienced seamstress sewers. They may not actually be getting the underwear, the product made in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. It may actually take them 7 minutes. So for the period of that new staff member, while they're getting to the point of the optimum point, you're actually running your margins are actually decreased because they don't work at the speed that you originally calculated it on. So you've got to make sure. So in that example, that's what you're looking at. That's an example of where your costs are blowing out. If you look at, say, for instance, the building industry, where I might have signed a contract in 2020 to build my deck or my house, and they quoted me at this much, and then you have things are happening, and suddenly the cost of materials has increased. So those expenses are increasing where they shouldn't necessarily be. Are they where you didn't quote at? So are there any costs blowing out? One of the things that I always say to the people that we're working with is make sure when you're quoting, we've had superannuation increases and wage increases. If you're quoting for jobs, and this is particularly if you're going for government panels, which is we're on a few different government panels where you say I want to be on the panel. This is our price list, and that price list is basically set for 3 years. So making sure if you're setting a price list for 3 years, you've incorporated in that original quote any potential future increases, which is not always possible. So it's not always possible to do that because you may not necessarily know when there's going to be increases in cost. So I say to people, you know, if superannuation is going up, make sure you quote today for the superannuation increases and the wage increases that are coming in the future. Oh, good work, Di. So she's tried a different browser's work. Excellent. So if there are any costs blowing out, keep an eye on those things. You need to make sure. The other thing, of course, is has anything changed in your spending habits that's affecting the bottom line? One of the things that we've been looking at is subscriptions. So we get really busy at certain periods and we need a piece of technology. So we go and subscribe to it. And then next minute, we have staff coming and going. And then before you know it, after a couple of years, we're like, what are we paying for that subscription? So we have decreased our subscription dramatically in the last 6 months because we've gone in and reviewed. So that's the other thing that you want to do when you're talking about your workflow is set a time in your diary, in your calendar, where you actually go in and go, oh, do we need subscriptions to that? We had a period where we had a few staff come on board and then 6 or 7 months later they left. And yet 3 years later, we were still paying for their email spots. And it's like, we've just spent money on people that left 3 years ago. And things like that, you've got to be really, really careful because, I mean, it's not a lot of money for our business, but it's enough to go, actually, we don't need to be spending that money, and it's basically throwing money away. So checking on your operating expenses. The other thing that we did is we did okay last year, so we spent a bit of money on training. We're probably not going to do that in the next financial year. We need to just cut. We're just kind of like, okay, so we've done that training, and then we need to maximize that training and leverage the training in new work, which will come in the next financial year. The next thing that you want to do is review your net profit and loss. Again, is there anything that's happening in terms of changes that you're doing? I guess I should just go back to this one. It says operating expenses. I think it should say cost of goods sold. Making sure that are there costs going off that increasing for things like milk and any of those consumable items that you think, well, because we all know that we're living a cost of, costs have gone up, what is the impact of that on your bottom line? And then the fifth one here, which is one that I raised earlier, is what are those big one-off events? And of course, I like to use the example. I went and bought a battery. Not going to lie, I was one of those people that went and bought a spare battery. And so Battery World I think I got the second last one of our local Battery World. So one-off events. One-off events are a great way to maximize and leverage and bring extra revenue into your organization. Just making sure that, we may have more cyclones, but making sure that you understand that was a one-off, potentially just a one-off, and that it may not happen again. So you don't want to be making decisions going, oh, look at this, we had this amazing year, our business is growing. It's like, no, that's not necessarily what's happening. It was a one-off. And so you don't want to increase your spending based on these figures if that was literally a one-off event. So just make sure, don't be misled by those spikes or those drops if they're not part of your regular pattern. It's when they become regular, that's when you go, oh, okay, we can start making decisions and change the way that we do things. Is there anything else that's happening or changing in your business? Again, new staff don't necessarily work at the same level of productivity, or I actually may, because they may be better than the staff that just left. All right. Or is there anything that's happening in the environment? A good example here, I'll just put this in the chat. If you Google this one, PESL, which is your political, economic, technological. So what is happening in the technological environment, in the legal space, in the environment, and in the environment that is going, oh, actually, I can see people's spending habits are changing. Their spending habits, their expectations are changing. What is going? It's a way to get you to keep an eye on what's happening in the world. It's like, oh, people don't necessarily do that. I was just watching a video just before at lunchtime talking about how smartphones may actually, not now, not anytime in the next 12 months, but certainly in the next decade or so, we may see a decrease in smartphones because we've moved on to different types of technologies. What does that mean? What is that going to mean? The big one that everybody's talking about, of course, is AI and the way that that may impact on the way that business is done. You should be keeping an eye on those things. Some of people will make savings and be able to maximize that and leverage that. For other people, it may actually mean a loss because their job may be taking over those things. So how would you look at patterns if your business has big spikes in the form of big product releases? If those spikes are actually that is your pattern, I think, without knowing what your business is, Tyler, and this is not easy, it's not an easy thing to say. Kerry and I were talking about this, about she works with Merino now because farmers, and that's what their business was. And she said she treats her business as if she was like a farmer, which is during the periods of good periods where you have a lot of income, you're putting as much aside away as you can to make sure it accounts for the drought. So it doesn't work for everybody, but really, if you have a really good handle on what it is that you're pulling out of the business, really try as much as possible to have some retained earnings. That's what I would be saying. That would be my advice. But again, talk to your accountant. Just want to say that, talk to your accountant. But if you can, and if there are, the other thing I guess I would say is there a revenue stream that you could bring in that's like a regular revenue stream? I always think to myself, I think our cash flow should be something like, you have like your low GI and high GI, you have spikes in sugar spikes. You don't want that. You don't necessarily want that kind of, it's okay to have revenue streams that go up. You don't really want them to go down, but can you have a revenue stream that's kind of steady? Is there something else that you can be doing that's bringing in revenue throughout the year? And then you've got those nice releases. But if you do have a spike, you're actually trying to retain that. Don't go on a spending spree. Keep something beside you or in the bank to make sure you cover for those periods. That's probably without knowing what your business is, it's probably what my biggest advice as someone who's bit old and probably less risk averse. The other thing, that's the other thing, is what's your risk appetite? If you have when I was younger, I started my business when I was 22. When I was 22, I had a high risk appetite because I didn't have kids, didn't have any debt, I wasn't paying off a house. I was only 22, 23. So my risk appetite was much higher than it is now, because now I'm 56. I'm heading towards retirement, or whatever that might look like. I'm heading, as I'm getting older, I was like, my world and where I'm at in business is very different. And so you just need to do a reflection of what your risk appetite is. And my last point here, and I don't want to, Katie, I feel like I don't know where my time frame is. I'm not exactly sure what my time is. So if you could put in the chat.
You've got about 20 minutes, Lisa.
20 minutes. Thank you, Katie. And then the last part here is the power of one. If you are doing those things, which is making sure you're reconciling, get the receipt into the books, do that. If you're constantly monitoring, doing that, then you're going to be able to go, oh, actually, if I can increase my prices by 1%, I'm going to see a change here. If I can reduce my cost of goods sold by 1%. Now, I was going to say, I did want to say, reducing your cost of goods sold is reducing the cost that you're buying things for that go into making your product. That's great. But what you may not want to do is reduce the quality of them. So you have to make a decision. No one else can do this for you. Yes, I'm saying reduce your cost of goods sold, but if that means reducing the quality and therefore you impact your customers, then you don't necessarily want to do that. So take that bit with a grain of salt. But if you can renegotiate deals, that kind of thing, without reducing the quality of your product, then that's what you want to do. If you can cut overheads by 1%, you can make a massive difference. Improve receivables. So receivables is when I invoice my customer, and if they can pay me a little bit quicker. So pay me not in 120 days, but 60 days or 20 days or straight away, that's what you want to do, because that's going to get your cash, the money that they owe you, into your bank quicker. And if you can reduce your stock on hand by 1%, so actually getting your inventory less, spending less time on your shelves and actually out there into the world. So we do have an example, our Connie's Cafe example. So I'm just going to run through some things, and I do have things that I just want to throw into the chat, some calculations in the chat. So Connie runs a cafe in regional Queensland. She survives by the regional tourism, the tourism season, which is kind of like April, May, sort of through to September, October. The rest of the year, the other parts of the year, way too hot, no travellers. So Connie runs a small cafe, as I said. This is just a mock-up. It's nothing to take too seriously, but it's basically she needs to know in the very first instance, how much do my products cost? And so there are spreadsheets that you can create, and I want you to think about, particularly if you're new to business, yes, you can have your accounting software like Xero and MyOb, Reckon, all of those, but you should become familiar. I would recommend becoming familiar and not afraid of creating your own spreadsheets. The accounting software does some stuff for you, but your spreadsheets that you create and shape and customize for yourself can actually show you different types of information. So not the spreadsheets, the software doesn't give you everything that you need to know. So what we want to do here is we want to know how much your products cost. And this is something that in our business, we've really tried to work hard to do that, and we're still we're not there yet. I think over the last couple of years, because I had to switch accountants, the accountant that I had was more of a tax accountant, and they were tax very reliable. But as our business grew from about 2019 onwards, it's like, actually, they can't give me what I'm looking for, which is, yes, they could show me what I was spending my money on, but they couldn't show me, they weren't happy, we weren't able to, and that wasn't what their specialty was. They weren't actually able to go, Lisa, this is what you could be doing, should be doing, and if you do this, these are the consequences of it. So the accountants we have now, they do our taxes and things, but we meet with them regularly. We meet with them quarterly now, and we go through everything, and we have a different kind of relationship than our old guys. So in these last couple of years, we've really started to go, okay, we're understanding what our cost of goods sold are, knowing the nature of our business as a service-based business, the kinds of information, the kinds of practices we need in our business to actually say, yes, this is worth doing this job. Yes, we're charging enough. Yes, this customer is the one that we should be going after. So there's a whole bunch of work you can do that isn't necessarily seen in your accounting software, that you can start really playing with your spreadsheets. And I highly recommend, if you can't afford Microsoft, if you're only using free stuff, you can get a Google account, and Google Sheets shows you everything, which is you can access that for free. I highly recommend that. So what we've got here is we really want to properly try to calculate how much our costs of goods sold are. So here in this little example, we've got our coffee beans, our milk, our cup and our lid brings us to 98 cents. The time it takes to make a coffee, so we've calculated, we've sat there with the timer, we've done it all day, and on average, it's kind of like 2 minutes. I don't know if it takes 2. I've never run a coffee shop, and I don't drink coffee. I don't actually know if that's accurate. I just wrote 2 in there for the sake of the example. The time and minutes in labour hours. So I calculated, so all these figures come from a spreadsheet. It costs $1.09 in labour. Because I calculated that 2 minutes of this staff member's time was actually $1.09. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's just for the example. So the total cost, so the next row there is $2.07 per cup, and I sell it for $6.70. So that gives me a gross profit per cup of $4.63. Now, of course, from the gross profit, we've not taken out any of our overheads. But the very first step is understanding what our cost of goods sold is. How much does it cost to get that product? Now we need to pay taxes and pay super and the electricity and the rent and the chair that broke, we've got to fix it, and the cleaning materials. That all comes out of that $4.63. I don't know I just think people who run cafes are amazing, because you're selling products for $5 or $6 or something, and yet you have all the. I think they're incredible. I am in awe of people who run cafes. So these are the things that you need to have for your business. Just a simple wage calculations. You need to be thinking about your opening, what hours you're opening. I wonder at businesses that can close at 3 o'clock. I think it's amazing. You've done the calculations. You don't have to open on a Monday because you're tracking and you're looking. Okay, if I open on a Monday, I'm still paying this much in wages, but I don't necessarily have the sales that are going to make it. These are businesses that can make decisions about whether they open on a public holiday or not. So you do need to have those wage calculations so that you can say, this is what we need to pay. And you do need to pay proper wages. How much does each product, apologies, there's a typo there, how much does each product cost according, ingredients, time that it takes to make, cost of goods sold, retail price, gross profit. So how to improve your bottom line? So this is where we got some calculations. You can copy these. So what we can do is we can try to increase our average sale. So what we've done in this example is, and again, it's just an average. I'm just going to put this in the chat there. So Connie's average sale, which we worked out as total revenue divided by the number of sales, and it's just an average across the whole year, we've worked out that Connie's average sale is $45.44. So, which is probably an Eggs Benedict or two Eggs Benedict and two Eggs Benedicts and a coffee, because she's got people who are tourists. But if we can aim to increase the average sale to $60 per sale, we can increase the gross profit margin to 15.4. By increasing the average sale to $60 per sale, so it's currently $45.44. If we could try to increase that by 60%, we can increase our margins to 15.49%. If we can increase the average sale to 75 cents per sale, $75 per sale, we're going to increase our profit margin to 22.39. So by just making small tweaks, this comes back to that power of 1%. It's a bit more than 1%, obviously, in this example. But by increasing our average sale, we can actually increase how much it is that we're making. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a massive leap. So we've gone in this version from $45 to $60. That's pretty big, a leap. But can you increase it from $45 to $47 or $51? You're going to see an overall increase in your profit margins over the course of the year. So currently we've got, so in this second example, we want to reduce cost of goods sold. Again, we want to reduce cost of goods sold if possible, but without changing the value, the quality of our products. So yes, we do want to decrease our cost, the cost it takes to produce the muffins, but we don't want to decrease the value. So Connie's current COGS is $22.72 per sale. If we can decrease COGS to 18, that brings the net profit to $14.44. By decreasing COGS to $13.63, we can increase our net profit by $24.44. So these are just some examples, but these are the principles. So the first principle, increase average sale. Second principle, reduce your cost of goods sold. The third one is reduce your overheads. So your overheads, again, are all of those costs that are directly, indirect costs, that are not directly related to the selling of that product. They're related, but not actually this. It's not the cost of the muffins, it's the cost of the website to promote the muffins. So this is what we've been doing, which is attempting to decrease our overheads by reviewing our subscriptions, cancelling anything that we don't need. We were meeting our accountant monthly. We've reduced that to quarterly. What are some of those overheads that you can increase? So the third thing is to reduce your overhead costs. Can you get a cheaper car? Like, can you get a cheaper motor vehicle? That kind of thing. So Connie's current overheads per sale is $20.70 per sale. We want to decrease those overheads to $19 or try to decrease it to $16. Can you actually do that? And then the fourth one is increasing the number of sales per customer. So we calculated, so this is just, we're pretending that we've done this. So Connie has 500 sales per month. So how can we get more customers? So she's currently doing 500 sales per month. How can we increase that to 600? How can we then increase that to 650? But of course, what you're going to do is you want to do the analysis to make sure, well, do I need more staff? So there's no point. So you've got to find the sweet spot. We're looking for the sweet spots in business. If we're currently running the business with this many staff at 500 sales per month, if we increase by having your table set up, you can start mocking up and going, okay, so if we increase to 650 and we're really 650 sales per month, do we need to actually have more staff? And so you can play around by having linked spreadsheets. You can go, okay, if we increase by 650, we're actually probably going to need a new staff member, and then you can do the calculations that way. So they're just some of the principles that you want to start playing around with. But you can only do that if you're tracking. You can only do that if you're tracking and reconciling regularly, but also if you are tracking and keeping a eye on your patterns. The other so the final, this is my final slide. I can put these in the chat as well. See, this is some examples of things that of resources that you can get. I highly recommend, I said it again, I think this is the 4th time I'm going to say it. So I'll say it one more time and then I'll stop. Start playing with your spreadsheets. Get to know how to do simple formulas. And dare I say it, ask your accountant for those things. Ask your accountant or your bookkeeper for those things. Or dare I say it, ChatGPT does have some good examples, and just standard old Google has lots of tools that you can, that are available online to help you track those things. But also there are some tools from Business Queensland, business.gov.au. Matt from the ATO is here. I'm not sure if he will share this benchmark one, but this is one that I look at as well, and we recommend to people as well. So I have spoken non-stop for 50 minutes. So I'm going to stop talking now and hand it back over to Katie.
Thank you so much, Lisa. You can breathe for a moment now. Okay, everybody, we're going to move on to our next speaker and let Lisa rest her voice. I'd now like to introduce Jodie Terzis from the Small Business Financial Counselling team, who's going to share some of the support you'll be able to receive through her service. Over to you, Jodie.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. I'm a Programs Coordinator and Small Business Financial Counsellor with the Small Business Financial Counselling Service of Southern Queensland. And I'm just going to take a few minutes just to let you know about our service, what we can help you with. And so we'll get started. So I'm based on the Gold Coast. I lead a small team of financial counsellors, and we look after the southeast of Queensland. I've been in my current role just over 5 years, and previously I've been a small business owner and sales manager, so know the positions that you're in and the struggles that you face. Just a little bit about me, why I do this work. It's really supporting people to overcome challenges and get back on track, and it's the satisfaction of seeing them regain their confidence in their business and to move forward into the future. Thanks, Katie. So just a little rundown on what support we can provide to small business. The service provide small business financial counselling. Now, this is a free service. We provide impartial and confidential support, targeting financial challenges within your business. So all the things that we've just heard over the last 50 minutes or so. We also have business wellness coaches. So this is early intervention, low intensity wellbeing support to help you remain at your best to manage your small business. So we'll go into that a little bit more in a second. And we also have rural financial counsellors. So they're helping rural businesses, primary producers, and there's 3 arms of that side of our business. We have the Rural Financial Counselling Service, farm business planning, and also industry recovery and resilience. So helping primary producers look at their resilience for when, after disasters and things like that. Thanks, Katie. So first of all, just a little bit about the Small Business Financial Counselling. We're an impartial and non-judgmental support service. So what we can do is work through any financial issues in your business, whether that's debt, it could be understanding your financials. We also support and empower your decision making. So all the decisions about your business remain with you. All we do is help you to look at those things and then together with you come up with options about which way to go in your business, and then you make those decisions. And quite often we're just a sounding board and a different set of eyes looking at your business. It's really important that when you're in your business, it's hard to look at how it's working. So someone from the outside looking in often has some good ideas. So things we help with are ATO debts. The ATO are chasing a lot of debt at the moment. We're talking to a lot of clients with a lot of ATO debt, so we can help with negotiation and that support. We look at cash flows and viability testing, disputes with landlords or creditors, so that could be anyone other than the ATO, so someone that supplies milk to your cafe and you're a bit behind in those payments, we can help you negotiate with them to do that. Also with landlords, there was a lot during COVID. It's sort of come back in a little bit now, but even just to get out of a lease, not get out, sorry, I'll change the wording there. When you've finished your lease and you want to not renew, what are those things that you have to do? Also, if you're just struggling to meet your financial commitments and you're not really sure why, we can have a look at everything with you and see what's happening in your business. Thanks, Katie. So just apologies for the slide here. The slide's gone a bit AWOL on us. So just a quick case study about a small business owner come to us with a significant amount of ATO debt, about $250,000 worth, which he was unable to pay. The ATO have been sending him letters, and he was really worried to get in contact with the ATO. His business wasn't doing well, and he thought if he contacts the ATO that they'd send him to jail if he couldn't pay. All those sorts of thoughts were going through his head. So we worked with that business owner, had a look at his financials, where he was sitting, why the business wasn't doing as well. And we were able to, together with him, contact the ATO and talk about how he was going to reduce that debt. For this case here, we helped to negotiate a payment plan, and which he has now entered into. We've also then looked at other areas of his business, and he's now doing better and affording the payment plan with the ATO. Thanks, Katie. Okay, we also have another part of our business, the business wellness coaching side of the business. So this is low intensity early intervention wellbeing support. So it's all about stress and fatigue management, so burnout, overcoming analysis paralysis to support decision making. Quite often in the business, when things aren't going well, it's really hard to make decisions, and we find a lot of business owners come to us for that sort of support. Also goal setting for your business and your life. So these are business owners who aren't sleeping at night. They're lying awake thinking about how am I going to afford to pay my staff next week. So very low intensity early interventions. So we help with things like support to make those big scary decisions, establishing work-life balance and boundaries. So that's things like the time you spend at work, the time you spend at home, working on the books, that type of thing, getting some sort of work-life balance, and tackling feelings of overwhelm and low self-confidence and catastrophizing. So the scenario that I used before about thinking, oh, well, if I can't pay my ATO debt, they're going to come and put me in jail. So that catastrophizing. Thanks, Katie. So just, I don't know why these little case studies slides have gone AWOL, but never mind. So we'll just have a quick look at a wellness scenario. So we've had a small business owner coming in feeling really low in energy. Like I said, not sleeping at night, they're lying awake at night, so they're always tired. And they're unable to make those decisions about the business. And working with both the wellness coaches and our small business our small business financial counsellors, we can sort of attack things from both ends. So they're getting support with their wellbeing, as well as getting support trying to dig into the business and find out what those issues are, and making suggestions and looking at options as to how we might be able to improve that, as well as improving their mental health at the same time and their wellbeing. And we've had some really, really good outcomes with that. Thanks, Katie. Okay, just a little bit on our rural financial support, our dedicated rural support team. We have 3 arms of the business there. So rural financial counselling, which is dedicated to the farm business sector, so primary producers, etc. Our specialised rural financial counsellors have a really deep understanding of rural industries. Most of them have their own or have had their own properties. They all live out in the areas that they're supporting. So they have a really good understanding of that, all the things that need to be done and can go wrong with farm businesses. We also have the Farm Business Resilience Planning team, and that's a proactive support service to support farmers to plan long term for their businesses. What's going to happen in the long term? And that could be selling the business, it could be succession planning, things like that. And also farm business resilience planning, and that's supporting farmers to recognise impacts of natural disasters, weather, and strategies to mitigate the impacts of those weather systems. Thanks, Katie. Okay, so how to access support. So there's 2 providers, and we have actually have exactly the same service. So I'm from the Small Business Financial Counselling Service Southern Queensland, and there is a Small Business Financial Counselling Service Northern Queensland. So there's 2 maps there just showing where the line is between the 2. The best way is to visit our websites for our profiles and local coaches and counsellors. So go to the website, that's the best way. You can also contact the 1300 number or make an inquiry on the website, which will come through to our intake officers. And we're government funded, all services are provided free of charge and completely confidential. So thanks, Katie. So the take-home messages from this afternoon, challenges are really a normal part of business, and reaching out for support is normal. If you're, having some difficulties within the business, you're not the only one. So don't think that, you're the one that's doing everything wrong, or, you don't have that support around you. There are a lot of businesses that are looking out for support. So it's a normal part of doing business. So reaching out is normal. As I said, it's a free, impartial and confidential service, so there's no payment, and your business and your details are all kept completely private. Your personal wellbeing is really critical to making your business a success. As it says, you can't run on an empty tank. So, your personal wellbeing is very, very important to the running of your business. So please reach out. and our dedicated rural service, our dedicated rural services, where we have rural people who understand the industry, wanting to give support. Thanks, Katie. Okay,
Excellent.
that's it.
Thanks so much, Jodie. We do have a few presentations today, so we won't go to Q&A now, but Jodie's going to be online for a couple of minutes, so I'm sure Jodie wouldn't mind answering any questions in the chat or using the Q&A box. So just jump in the chat if you've got any questions for Jodie, or head to the team's website or the Northern colleagues' websites, of course, and then they'll be happy to help you. Okay, over to our next speaker. Thanks so much, Jodie. Over to our next speaker, who is Louise Kuzovich. She is from the Mentoring for Growth team here at the Department of Customer Services, Open Data and Small and Family Business. She's going to talk about the mentoring program. Over to you, Louise.
Right, thanks, Katie, and hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Mentoring for Growth program. I'm just going to provide a quick overview this afternoon. So next slide, please, Katie. Thank you. So the Mentoring for Growth program is a Queensland Government program. It's a free and confidential service that's offered to Queensland businesses to help them with a current challenge or opportunity they may be facing to growth at a particular point in time. It provides general or targeted mentoring sessions. So you might be an early stage business just wanting some general information about business planning, cash flow, marketing, or you may be at that high growth stage of a business where you may be looking to attract investment or export or look at your succession plan, for example. So we go the realm from that early stage to those quite established and exiting businesses. It's available to all Queensland-based businesses, and we have some basic eligibility requirements, which won't be a surprise to any of you when we look at the next slide. Thanks, Katie. So to participate in the program, we ask that you have an Australian business number, you are based in Queensland or have significant operations in Queensland. Ideally, we'd like you to have a business plan in place, even if it's just a plan on a page. It doesn't have to be War and Peace. Ideally, you've commenced business operations. Once again, you could be at that early stage. You've just got your ABN and you've done your business plan, but you haven't gone any further and you're wanting to seek some tips and suggestions on how you can go further. You're more than welcome. And we also really want you to have a specific business opportunity or challenge to discuss in your sessions. So that helps us hone in with the limited time that we can have available with the mentors to really nut down and actually give you something tangible to work away with from your session. Thanks, Katie. Registering for a session is quite simple, we hope. It's an online form which is available from the Business Queensland website, and that address will be shared with you post-session. The form will take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete, depending on how involved you want to be with the information that you share. It asks some questions about your business history, your vision, your challenges and opportunities, your staffing, what challenges, your challenges and your opportunities, and then some financial data, just high level. So what your turnover may be, what your profit may be, because those numbers do tell a story, as you've heard earlier today. The sessions are predominantly offered virtually. We run sessions every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, but we are also looking to do some face-to-face sessions. So we've got a few good partnerships with some local councils in both in Southeast Queensland and in regional Queensland, and we are looking to run face-to-face sessions where we can, because we do appreciate that some businesses like to deal face-to-face. The sessions are about 3 or 4 weeks in advance, booked out at the moment, so quite popular thanks to Queensland Small Business Month. It's really promoted the program. Thanks, Katie. How does it work? So our program essentially works on, thankfully, to the volunteer mentors who give their time freely to the session. So we have 3 basic session types. We have a 45-minute chat, which is really targeted towards those early stage businesses. Then we have an hour chat, which is where you're established and you're growing. And then we have that high-level panel chat where you are, as I said earlier, maybe looking to export and you're looking for those specialised skills. So with the 45-minute chat, we have the 1 mentor. With that 1 hour chat, we give you 2 mentors. And with that panel session, you could have up to 3 or 4 mentors around the table helping you. The mentors don't give advice. We're very clear on that. So they are giving you decision-based suggestions and tips. The aim of our mentoring program is for you to walk away with some tangible things you can consider to implement into your business straight away to help you with that business challenge or opportunity. A staff member sits in on every session and they take notes for you, and those session notes are shared post-session. We also invite you back for another session every 6 months. Thanks, Katie. We currently have more than 390 mentors with the program. As I said, they freely give their time. We think they're quite representative of the Queensland diverse business sector. We have them located across all of Queensland, and they have got that business and industry expertise. They all have experience in mentoring and coaching. And we do 2 mentor intakes a year just to make sure that we have got contemporary skills being offered to businesses. So we know there's always something new happening in business. So we make sure that we have mentors who have been there, done that, and they can share their experience with mentees who may be facing that similar challenge or opportunity. Thanks, Katie. Similar to what Jodie just said when she was giving an overview of the counselling program, the Mentoring for Growth program also provides that third set of eyes that is not familiar with your business and may see something that you don't see in your business. That's there to help you to develop and grow and to deal with a particular challenge opportunity that you may have. It's also helping you to build networks and identify other opportunities. And as I said, like identify the blind spots that, particularly if you're a sole trader, you don't get that opportunity to bounce ideas off someone else. So you don't get someone who might be questioning you what you're doing. So it's particularly beneficial for those situations. Thanks, Katie. One question we often get asked is, is the program confidential? Are my sessions confidential? Yes, definitely are. We get all our mentors to sign a DPOL before they are activated in our system. And likewise, all mentees have to sign a DPOL as part of registering for a program. Our mentors also have to adhere to a code of conduct. As we said, the mentees are provided with information on their mentors up front. So we give you their LinkedIn profile so you can see who your mentors are for your session. If you think there's a conflict of interest or you're not comfortable with a particular mentor, you can reach out to us and we can select another mentor for you. Likewise, if our mentors think there's a conflict of interest with them participating in the session, they will elect to opt out. Thanks, Katie. So yeah, please, if you have any more information, requiring any more information about the program, please have a look at the Business Queensland website. We've got a couple of mentoring pages there, and you're more than welcome to reach out to us at that email address, m4g@desbit.qld.gov.au, and we can answer any questions you may have. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Lou. I'm just going to now hand over to Matt Walsh, who's joining us from the ATO, to present the next presentation. Thank you.
And I've got a slight update on that, everybody. Apparently all staff at the ATO have just lost their computer systems. So we are down for the ATO. Matt just asked Lisa, he said you were a little comfortable. Is there anything you wanted to add? You did refer to the ATO in your presentation. Is there anything you wanted to add from your experience with the ATO resources, or you're happy for us just to share some of this information with everyone afterwards? Oh, you're on.
What was I put in my chat the in my presentation the ATO benchmarks if you're looking for how much should I be making and what should my margins be. But no, Matt went through these resources last week at the workshop in Brisbane. They look fantastic and I can't wait to go through all of them. For me, my experience with the ATO, good, bad and ugly. Probably been in every situation with the ATO that is humanly possible, but definitely these look amazing and I can't wait to go through all of them and suggest it to all the people that we're working with. I actually got I think edition 10 of the newsroom came out in my subscribe to the newsletter, and the courses and the learning space that they've created is just fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Yes, so we'll yeah, there's a great online resource with some courses there, and we'll send these through to you. Matt apologises. He has been on the phone to IT support for a little while, and had very much hoped to be back and join with us. But yeah, definitely check those out, and we'll send you the links as soon as we can. All right, then I'm going to head straight to David Murdoch, who is the cyber leader from ID Care. Over to you, David.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name's David. I'm the team leader for ID Care's Small Business Cyber Resilience Service. So you might be asking yourself, what is ID Care? It's one of the things we face the most is just awareness. But look, ID Care itself, which my team is a part of, it's a not-for-profit cybersecurity charity that has actually been in operation for over 10 years. In that time, we've helped over 500,000 individuals, government entities, businesses, big and small, reduce the harm they experience from cybersecurity incidents. This means we have a huge wealth of data and experience in what kind of damage can occur, the best ways to avoid scams and all types of sort of cybersecurity compromise and misuse, how to stop the damage basically when you do experience scams, things like scams, impersonation, hacking, how to recover from them. No other organization in Australia or even the world really has this information and is like us, has been around for as long as we have. I did mention some rather intimidating words there for a lot of people. Cybersecurity compromise, which is when identity credentials, personal sensitive data, business information such as financial information, identity documents, health information, tax information, logins, whether that's your clients, your suppliers, your staff, your own information, when it's accessed by an unauthorized person or persons is what compromise is in our eyes. Misuse is when that same information is used without authorization to impersonate or scam people and organizations for the scammer's financial gain, to further their scams. Sometimes they're just using you as a stepping stone, unfortunately, or to just damage the victim's reputation, causing harm. These are things like phishing texts, emails, calls, business email compromise when it's taken over, website impersonation, false invoice fraud, investment scams, relationship scams, social media compromise. So with that, I didn't take control, did I? There we go. Pardon me, I forgot about that part. So look, how do we help? So look, we are a registered charity, like I mentioned, but we don't ask individuals to donate or pay for our services. So we won't ask you for donations, even though you're a small business. You're sort of like an individual, I guess. A lot of you are. The main part of ID Care relies on paid subscriptions and grants for assistance. Well, the subscriptions for assistance with data breaches, mainly from large organisations as well as government bodies. We do have reduced prices for these services for small businesses. We do charge just for the data breach, but we have a special pricing sort of regimen just for small business. But this allows us to help individuals in particular for free. So we don't turn any individuals away. With my team, we specifically exist because of a federal government grant. It's provided to support small business to improve their cybersecurity resilience, as well as to assist small businesses to reduce the damage and the harm that they experience from cybersecurity compromise and misuse. This means all of our services to small businesses, except for those data breach ones, are completely free to small business. So look, a small business under this grant, to be clear, is defined as a business that has 19 or less full-time equivalent staff. So that's whenever 38 hours is worked across your staff. So if you had 2 staff, one of them was working 30 hours, one was working 8 hours, that would equal 1 full-time equivalent staff member across your 2 staff. So, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys would know how many hours across your whole business, maybe, but it totals 722 hours. So it does cover quite a few small businesses. So as long as you're under that, and also you have an active ABN and you're currently trading, then you can get these services from us for free. So look, under this grant, what we offer, the main things are the cyber health check. So it's it's called a privacy and cyber health check, which is where the small business owner or the IT staff member or whoever it is that knows your cybersecurity setup, you go onto our website, fill out a questionnaire. It doesn't ask very much identifying information. We're very obviously aware of security and privacy and stuff like that. So we do ask like your ABN, your business name, your email, so we can contact you and your website, things like that, so we can have a bit of a look. But you fill out this questionnaire, and then at the end of it, you can book an appointment for the cyber advisory session. So the cyber advisory session, that's where one of our advisors would look over your website and your answers, and they'd provide recommendations based on that. They'd also ask a few more questions, basically have a conversation with you. These usually run about half an hour, 45 minutes, where we can offer more advice, more recommendations. At the end of the appointment, we send you a response plan email. We will soon have up a portal where you can go into our website in your own space, where it will have specific information for your business and basically like a checklist. So you don't have to, it can be quite intimidating. There's a lot of different parts to it. So we're trying to break it down so you've got, you can just do one at a time, come back in over time, and we'll tell you some of the more important ones that you can more quickly set up to improve it, of course. So with that, it gives you a score at the end of it as well, if you're interested in that, and just where you're at with your sort of cybersecurity maturity level, as we call it. Apart from that, our other services, so we do offer what's called case management. So this is where a business has experienced or is currently experienced a scam or some kind of cybersecurity incident and needs immediate help. So these are situations, some of what I mentioned before, like website impersonation, account takeovers, the email compromise, chargeback frauds, and there's so many different types. But whatever it is, if you need that help, you can contact us for immediate help. We are largely escalatory service. We do have some services where we can actually physically, with your permission, go into things and help like that. But we know who to report it to. We know how to sort of stop the damage. It's really to just reduce that harm and help with stop the bleeding is one way we think about it. Another one is cyber first aid. So this is something that people often gravitate towards. It's not a silver bullet, but it's mainly for when you have remote access software put onto your device. Sometimes when you click on a link, not all bad links will cause this, but sometimes you might have remote access. Most of the time, remote access is actually someone's talked you into it, unfortunately. But if that does happen and we assess that that is something we can do, we will, with your permission, go onto your device, remove the remote access software, and just improve your cybersecurity posture on that device. Make sure your settings are correct, and we do that with you on the phone. Obviously it can be quite confronting if you've just had remote access from a scammer, and now you have to hand over remote access to us. But if you look us up, we are trustable. But yeah, so and that does lead into the other side as well. Cyber psychology or the well-being support. It's not necessarily with psychologists. We do have a couple on the team, of course, but it's basically where we can offer a business, and it's not only the owner of the business, it's any of your staff or those affected. We can offer you sort of a bit of a conversation, if that's all it is, or just resources and recommendations to assist in that emotional and mental health recovery as well. So look, with all of this, the big thing is to stay informed. We have got a new website. It's in the process of coming out. It should be maybe out in the next couple of days. So it may look a little bit different from some of these pictures, but we do offer on that website a lot of fact sheets, a lot of information based around common things that happen, common scams, common ways of setting up, like multi-factor authentication, password managers and backups, encryption, all that stuff. It can be quite intimidating. So we offer a lot of information on the website, as well as our newsletter, the Cyber Sushi newsletter, and also we have our social media as well. So look, in closing, if you do experience any kind of cybersecurity incident or scam, and you want to have a free assessment of your business, or you need immediate help, please contact us. We can help you with all of that. We have a huge amount of experience. Like I said, over 10 years, over 500,000 entities, people, organizations help. So please reach out anytime you need. We are here to help. But thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate it. Encourage everyone to check out the ID Cares services. Okay, I'm going to round out this session with the lovely Steph Tickle, my manager, who is the lead of the Business Concierge team here at the Department of Customer Services Open Data Small and Family Business. Over to you, Steph.
Fantastic. Thanks, Katie. I'll be quick. How long have I got?
You have 6 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to do that easily in 6 minutes. I want to introduce you all to the Business Concierge. Katie, can I just confirm those slides are appearing okay?
They are, Steph, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. So firstly, I'll just, I guess, everything you've heard today, there is somebody who can help you navigate through that. So that's why I guess the Business Concierge is probably the last thing, and it's also the first thing. Business Concierge is pretty cool. There are people throughout the state in 7 regions across Queensland who can actually help you to find the answers to all of those particular services. So that's the job of a business concierge. Really, and sorry, Katie, my slides on my end aren't working. I might give you back control.
No
Can
problems.
you take control?
Emma
Yeah,
can
thanks,
take
mate.
control. Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, sorry, everybody. So I just want to talk to you, though, a little bit about what the Business Concierge does. So the information you've heard today is pretty good, but it's only a tiny amount of all the services that are out there for Queensland small and family business owners. At one stage, I counted more than 120 different things. And if you've got the time to go and work through all of those things, your business must be in a really great place. We can do that for you, though, as Business Concierge. So we simplify information and make sure you get right to the resources you need quickly and easily. We don't just give you a web link. I'm sure you've experienced that before. We actually see you through the process. These people are local. Our Business Concierge are part of local communities, whether that's Cairns in far north Queensland or all the way down to the Gold Coast. We have somebody there who can actually help you, and I'll share with you in a minute how you can get access to those individuals. We come to meet you. We don't necessarily, it's just on a voice over the phone. We can actually visit you in your business. Katie, thank you. So as I mentioned, it's a triage process. So you talk to us about what it is that you need, what services you think you're looking for, whether it's a grant, whether it's a service that's already existing or one that you don't even know exists. And the concierge will work through knowing that what they know about government, because that's their specialty. They specialise in understanding all of the services that are across government, including local government and federal government. They understand that because they work with all of those agencies right now. So they do all of that so that you don't have to. Their job, though, is to listen to you as much as anything. So if you are struggling with something and things are not working, or you've got an opportunity or you can see a gap, the opportunity for you is to provide that information and intelligence back to our Business Concierge, who can feed that through and make our programs and services even more fit for purpose. Thanks, Katie. So find yourself a Business Concierge. They're all on the Business Queensland website /business/concierge. You can actually make a booking with a concierge so they can sit down and have a chat to you, meet online or in person, depending on where you are. You can also call 13QGov, which is the standard government number, who will then put you through to a member of the Business Concierge team, and we can work out who is the best person to help you out. There is heaps of information, as you know. If you want to navigate yourself through the Business Queensland website, you're welcome to do that too. You can also email us at business@cdsb.qld.gov.au and we'll help you find the right service. Thanks, Katie. That's it. Please let me know if you have any questions, if you're keen to understand a bit more information about the Business Concierge service. It is new, but I think you'll find it really does solve problems and meets a gap in the market where there currently isn't a service. So thanks, everybody. Happy to chat to anybody offline too, if that helps.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steph. Really appreciate it. A great way to finish the session. Thank you, everybody, for attending, joining us today. We really appreciate it. I hope you got something from the session, and we will try and send you through a few of those resources and links. But the Business Queensland website is an excellent resource for you to head to and find more information. So without further ado, we'll let you all get home to your families and dinner, etc., etc. And we'll speak to you later. Thank you so much, everyone. See you later.